All right, so I wanted to pick up where we've left off, and today I'm looking at a Finviz filter, looking for some trading options, especially around some swing trading. And so let's switch to that screen, and we can take a look at the filter that we've set up. So I'm looking here for stocks under $15, average volume over 100,000. I'm looking for a pattern which is a channel up pattern, and you can see that clearly here, meaning that they're on a bullish uptrend. And relative volume, which is the ratio between the current volume and the 3-month average, should be over 1.5. So looking for sort of a boost or an increase in volume over the last period. And so I get a page back today that looks interesting, and I just scan these. Now, you can see a big spike over here, and I'm going to avoid that. This one here is dropping down and maybe interesting, maybe in for an upturn. Looks like it's hitting its resistance there. Looks like a very narrow range though, so probably avoid this one. This one looks like it's turning and maybe coming back, so FDD could be one to look at in a little bit more detail. You can see that these look like very much doji bars, not much trending there. So what's interesting is this has gone negative, it's moving towards, whenever this goes from minus 100 to 50, I like to swoop in at that point. Getting a nice crossover here at 0. The black line seems to be going ahead. Some big volume, as you can see, which is probably why it came up in our filter. So there could be some interesting things going on here, although the 20-day moving average has moved here below the 200 or the 50, and so that's maybe that, put that away for a moment. This one has already shifted upwards, so you can see there was that sort of CCI spike, and maybe a little bit too late on the party there, so probably avoid that one. This one still seems to be declining. This one is sort of bearish. TREC seems to be interesting to me, seems to be climbing, and let's dive into this one. So we can see that the CCI hasn't yet reached positive territory, but it seems to be on an upward trend, although it is slowing a little bit, but it was. So there could be some acceleration here, kind of a doji bar over there, sitting at 828. Looks like maybe it's got some potential to move beyond 9. So it's a very small range, but I think the risk is probably down here at about 813, 810. And we can see here that the MACD is having some movement and seems to be getting close to that crossover point, kind of that area there. Now the movement here is slow. It looks like it's about a month, maybe even longer, that we may need to wait this one out, bottom to top, in the looking at their previous cycles. But this one may be ready for an interesting move. So there's very little risk involved in this one, so it's probably worth making an entry into the Trader's Journal, which we'll go ahead and do. This gives me just an idea of a snapshot of what this is all about. Today is 7/14, and this is TREC, and it's sitting at 840, And I think, maybe the sell price, as I said, let's just leave it at 9 for the moment. And I think a stop loss of about 8.10 is reasonable there. So if we invest $200, it's 24 shares, and we can see here that we've got quite a nice profit and loss curve. Again, it's that double that I always try and look for. So that certainly does look quite interesting as an opportunity. So I think I'm going to take this trade just so that I can show folks how to do it on Robinhood. So here I am in Robinhood. We are pre-market right now, so but we can still put the order in, and let's go in there and put in 24 orders, and we'll buy it at the market price. I think that there's not much else that's action that's going on there, so that's just going to be over $200. So we can review the order and buy it. Now, at this point, it's been placed, and we would probably need to wait because it's queued. And what that means is that when the markets open, the order will be placed, and we'll get the order. And at that point, we need to come back in and put our stop order. It won't let me sell anything, obviously, until I've actually acquired it. So we'd have to wait on that, but remember, we'll put in a stop at about 8.10. Let's look at it on the bigger Robinhood graph, and you can see these are the parameters that I tend to add on Robinhood. Up here, moving, I do very similar to what Finviz has, but you don't have all the features. You only have a couple of them, like MACD, relative strength index, and in particular you don't have the CCI, which is what I like to use quite a bit. But we can sort of see the action here over the period, and it may be in a trading range, and we may get caught in that with very little movement. This looks like a very slow mover. So you've got to consider that from an investment perspective. Big spike up in volume on June the 25th. And we can go over and look at some of the fundamentals quickly. And you can see that the sort of research is reiterating a range, and this certainly looks like a longer term range. So it's up there, but how long it'll take to get there is probably the big question. I have 14 days in there. I would be more inclined to project 20 days. So this is not one of these sort of more aggressive trades, but as I say, very low risk. There you can see that turning point. So hopefully it's going to look something like that, that crossover, and then we can sell at that kind of crossover, looking on the MACD graph. That sort of gives us a good in and out position. Let's see when else they were in, sort of at that time frame. So I think that's heading that way. Beware though, that can easily switch over and change dynamics. As we saw, I think there's a quite a strong resistance over here, although it did get below it. It tested below that, and then it did come back. Usually we wait for 2 tests to feel solid. So you can see that bar there has broached it a second time. So that could be encouraging, meaning that it'll now turn and come back that way. We can also look at sort of the 30 minutes, giving us a slightly more detailed view. And in fact, when you look on the 30-minute basis, you can see this seems to be at July the 13th at 3:30 p.m. it had a fairly good movement there. So you can see on the 30-day it's in fact crossed over, and it's also gone from that negative below 100 right above that 50 mark. So that's looking encouraging for some further activity. So this may prove to be an interesting buy as the days go by. So we'll monitor it closely, and what we'll need to do now is wait for the markets to open. I'll pause this video, and we'll come back on in once we've acquired this, and I'll show you how we can go ahead and place that $8.10 stop. All right, so we're back at about 9:29 and the markets are about to open. We'll just watch the ticker as that happens. We've got our order placed, so it's a market buy, so it'll pick it up. Hopefully it doesn't spike crazily. It'll pick it up at the closest price, so we'll be watching that just to get a feel or a sense to where it's positioned. So let's jump to the 1-day view, and you should see that kicking in very close. It's now 9:30, so the markets have now opened, and you can see it's dropped down to 8:35, and you can see the order was placed at an average cost of $8.38, 24 shares, and I wouldn't worry about returns at this point. But now is a good time to, now you'll notice that a sell indicator has appeared over here, and we can go into that sell. Now you'll pull down over here, and we're interested in placing a limit order, and we'll keep it at, let's say, $8. I think we said $8.10, and all 24 of our shares, and we'll change it to good till cancel. We'll also allow to trade over extended hours, and so you can see that we will get back $194.40, and we sold. We bought at 200, so that's $6. And obviously, I'm using this as a example with minimum risk, just to play around with and experiment. So we'll put that sell order, and it's basically just giving us a reminder of what it's doing, a sell order. It's important to put this in on a good till cancel. I believe that is up to a 3-month time frame, and we sell, and then we're done. And so at this point we've set up, one thing I do like to do is add this to a list, and I have a list of what I call swing trades, and you can save changes. That just gives you a nice shortcut way to differentiate the kinds of trades that you may be doing. So you can create a list and trade it differently. You could have also looked at trading options. It's a sort of way to get leverage over this, and so it's possible to get into that, and we will talk about that a little bit later on, as it is a good way to lever up your order. Because if you look down here, you'll notice that predicting a $9 sell price, you'll notice that we have a profit of $14, which is obviously not a heck of a lot on $200 investment, about 7%. Not unreasonable. Problem we've got with this trade is it's over 20 days, and so the money sits tied up for a much longer period of time. But it's really a good trade to take for a beginner, just to get some experience with how technical analysis works. As I've mentioned before, fundamentals is a much longer term trade and much bigger amounts over here. So this is just done on a limited basis for the moment. But there's nothing to say this can't move beyond that $9 mark, and it's got that upper boundary, and maybe we could see in this time frame a similar sort of spiking situation that is occurring over here may reoccur again. So that's obviously what we're hoping for. We probably, would look at about the 950 level as a maximum. So you can sort of do a more optimistic picture where you can put in 950, and you'll notice that then you're going to about 13%, which is not a bad return. I always think about 10 to 20% as being sort of a reasonably good return. Anything under that is okay, not bad. You're still making money, and you're limiting your risk profile quite substantially. So you can see your maximum loss here is $7. Your sort of profit potential at 950 is 26.19. But as I mentioned, there are other ways of leveraging the trade, and that's by doing, in this case would be a call option, because we're predicting it's going to go up. And so you can sort of buy an option with a strike price, and the options are pretty cheap, as you can see here, and you can leverage it in, and really what you're doing is, for less cash down, you're buying a whole much more of the stock. An option gives you the option to purchase the stock on a future date, which you don't really see through, and you're just simply trading the option. So we'll get into that in another video and look at that opportunity there. So I think at this point we are in a good place to wrap. Hopefully you've seen the approach in taking a trade from sort of the beginning to the end. This is just a very small opportunity, and we'll monitor it. I'll probably make another video in a week or two where I'll touch on, and we'll see where this one went. Yesterday I also placed a trade for JD, which is a Chinese internet company, and also swing trade over probably 5 to 10 days. So we'll track that one too. But as I was recording the Robinhood, I noticed that the sound didn't come out for whatever reason. So we'll wrap at that, and thank you very much for watching. If you want to keep up, please subscribe, and I'll keep updating the series on a trading business, as I'm calling it, as we sort of look at the different ways you can trade. I'm intending to obviously begin with these sort of low-end stocks. Then we'll also move into options, and we'll dabble then and talk about Forex, the Forex market. We'll also talk about what's known as the e-money, which is the S&P 500, and tracking that. We'll go into some futures, and so I'm intending here to look at how do you trade all these instruments, because I think a lot of beginners get sort of confused and also intimidated perhaps by them, and we'll even tinker with 10-year treasury bonds, or actually any year treasury bonds. So that's where I'm hoping this series will go over probably the next 6 months. Once again, thank you